Hi everybody, welcome to Aprons and Attitude. I'm Ricky, and my focus is on gluten-free and healthy ingredients in all of the things that I show you how to make. Today we're going to make a gluten-free pie crust with a pumpkin pie filling. Now before we get started, I do need to give you a little bit of information. Number one, I haven't made this pie crust recipe before. It's a brand new one I'm trying out because it sounds really good, and although I have made a gluten-free pie crust before from a recipe that I have, I'm still looking for the one that's just a little bit better, that has that flaky, tender pie crust that people are used to that's not gluten-free. And I found the recipe in this wonderful cookbook that I've been using for many years, and I'm not even sure if it's still in publication. It came out in 2014. But it's called the How Can It Be Gluten-Free Cookbook. And all of the recipes in here have been tested and tried out in America's Test Kitchen. So whatever they suggest doing, I'm going to do because they've tried all the different options to make something work out. It's complicated, I will give you that, and it's time consuming. So if you want something that's quick and easy, this is not the recipe to use. It's taking a lot of preparation ahead of time. It's going to take many hours before the pie is actually finished. But if, on the other hand, you are anything like me and you love being in the kitchen and you love cooking and baking from scratch, and it's an opportunity for you to get creative and you want to control the ingredients that goes into the food you eat, then watch and listen, and hopefully it will inspire you to make this yourself at home. Number one, the equipment you're going to need is a food processor, and very helpful to have is a little kitchen scale, and these you can pick up pretty much anywhere. They're relatively inexpensive. One of the things about baking with gluten-free flours is they need to be precise. The balance of the different flours and the balance of wet ingredients and oils and other things is critical for a good outcome. So when I'm measuring out my dry ingredients, I always go by the weights that they give in the recipes instead of the amount, because flours, especially your gluten-free flours, can settle, and what you might measure out as a cup could actually end up being 2 to 3 ounces more than what the recipe actually calls for. So I would strongly recommend that you get a little scale. It's very, very handy. And you will definitely need the food processor, because this is how you're going to mix your pie crust. I have already ahead of time measured everything out that I need. Because it's a complicated recipe, I wanted to make sure that I had all the ingredients pre-measured so that all I have to do is just mix them instead of trying to figure it all out. I am going to get now from my freezer the butter that has been cut up into little tiny cubes and has been chilling. So another thing about making a flaky, tender pie crust is you want everything to be cold. You want your water cold. This has just come out of the refrigerator. You want your butter cold. In this case, the recipe says frozen for 15 minutes. So I've already cut up, it's a full stick of butter, and it is salted butter, so I've eliminated the salt from the recipe because that would be too much salt. These have been cut up into little 1/4-inch cubes, and they're going to be tossed into the flour mixture and pulsed in the food processor. So I've got this all ready to go. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to mix our vinegar, our cold water, and our sour cream. I know they sound like very odd ingredients to have for a pie crust, but trust me, there's a reason for it. We're just going to stir this up. I'm going to get this out of the way. And now we're going to put into the food processor our gluten-free flour, which the recipe for this flour blend is in that cookbook. And I always have a container of it in the refrigerator so that when I'm in the mood to bake something, I've got the flour that I always need. And these flours, most of them are available in a grocery store. The ones that I can't find, I order online through Amazon. So it's a very easy blend of flours to mix up. So that's going in there. This is our sugar, which is stevia. That's not what I wanted to do. And then this is xanthan gum, which is the substitute for the protein that you're missing when it's gluten-free. So that helps. I made a mess everywhere, but oh well. Okay. I'm going to just cover this up and blend this so those are all mixed together nicely. Again for about 3 pulses. Okay. All right. 20 to 30. Okay. Want it to all get pushed together into a 5-inch disc. And then this is going to go into the refrigerator because we want this to be nice and chilled before we roll it out. Otherwise it's going to be a sticky mess and it's going to be extremely hard to do. The pie crust has been in the refrigerator for an hour and also has been sitting out for 30 minutes, coming to room temperature, so it will be soft enough to roll out. So I am going to roll out a 12-inch diameter circle. I already have the first layer of saran wrap down. I'm going to put this on top of it. Then we're going to cover it up with another layer of saran wrap and roll it between the 2 layers to prevent it from breaking and cracking and sticking. All right, so now our second sheet goes over this. Just push it down just a little bit. All right, now we just keep rolling. You just need to be patient when you're doing this. Can't be rushed. Okay, we've got it rolled out to our 12-inch circle. Now we are going to ever so carefully put it into our pie plate. We want to pry that away, pull that away very carefully. Voila, no tears, no rips, looking good. I'm going to put the pie plate on top of this and then flip it. We're going to scooch this to the edge so I can get my hand underneath and then ever so carefully flip it this way. Okay, now we're just going to push it down along the edges of the pan. We might have to pull it a little bit this way and a little bit this way. And it's pulling nicely because the saran wrap is still attached to the dough, so it's not ripping the dough under the saran wrap. So we're going to want to push it against the sides of the plate. Make sure it gets all the way down into the corner. And then we might make sure it's up nice and snug to the sides. You can push it down a little bit if you need to. Okay, now we're ready to remove the saran wrap. And again, we want to do this carefully. So as we pull it away, we're going to want to hold the dough down. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to carefully pull this off the rest of it. All right, there we go. The excess that's on this lip, we're going to fold underneath the crust. Okay, now we're going to crimp it, and the way that my mother taught me how to do is you take your thumb and forefinger, no, your 2 fingers and this finger, and you push the crust, you push it together with the crust between it. So I'm going to just, okay, good enough. Now we're going to take our plastic wrap and loosely cover it. And this is now going to go into the freezer for about 15 minutes. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. Our crust is frozen. The oven has been preheated to 375 degrees. This is now going to go into the oven to partially bake. Then we're going to add our pumpkin mixture. And this is where it gets tricky because we have to time this just so, because the crust needs to still be warm when our warm pumpkin mixture goes into it. So I have the timer set on the oven for 20 minutes. Now, in the meantime, we're going to add our coconut sugar to our food processor. Okay, now we're adding all of our spices and a little bit of salt. Use sea salt. And the pumpkin puree. Just enough left in here for me to lick. Okay, now we're going to put this on the stove, simmer on medium heat, stirring constantly for 5 minutes. So it's been 5 minutes. The pumpkin puree is done. I am now going to whisk in the evaporated coconut milk, bring it to a simmer, and then take it off the stove. Well, our mixture is done, and now we're going to put the 4 eggs into our food processor and mix them. And these are pasture-raised organic eggs. Okay, there. Put this on. Now our crust is about ready to come out of the oven. So I'm not going to proceed with the rest of this until I have the crust out. And we're going to put it over here. It's done. Now we need to increase the oven temperature to 425. And this is going to go in the oven on the bottom rack so that the heat source is closer to the bottom of the crust, so it helps to prevent it from getting soggy as it bakes. Now we're going to add the rest of it. I don't want it to go over the top. All right, now, don't touch hot plates. I tend to forget sometimes that when I take something out of the oven, it's still hot. Okay, now this is going to go back into the oven, and it is going to bake for about 25 minutes until the center is just a little jiggly when you move it. Because as it cools, once you take it out of the oven, it will continue to bake. Well, our pie is finished baking and it is now cooling on the rack. It will be a couple of hours before it will be okay to slice into and eat. So I will have to leave a comment in the video after I've had a chance to taste it and let you know how it turned out. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. It was quite an experience. So anyway, have a very happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.